Good morning, guys. So we are getting ready to discuss, there we go, bacteria. Too far. There we go. So as we get into bacteria, we're going to review a little bit about prokaryotes and stuff. If you get into the module 2, which I'll have posted and I'll put a link, there's some review on cell stuff, which I'm going to skip at the moment. So prokaryotes, this is where bacteria falls. Okay, which means it has no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles, it just has ribosomes. Okay, it's unicellular, which means it's one cell. It's smaller than eukaryotic cells, and it's believed to be the forerunner to eukaryotic cells. These prokaryotes are very simple. Okay, so they're smaller and they're simpler than the eukaryotic cells. The DNA is a single strand and it's circular. An example is all bacteria. Okay, so what is bacteria? So it's single-celled, very small. You have to have a microscope to see it, and it can be found pretty much on all surfaces and materials. Okay, there's billions on and in your body at the moment. Couple to think of, there's the E. coli that can make you sick, that is found on meat and can be found on surfaces and things like that. Streptococcus, which causes strep throat. Stop and think, if you have one friend with strep throat, it spreads very quickly even if you aren't sharing drinks or food or things like that, because it can live on the surface. Then you have the E. coli that's in your stomach and in your intestines that helps you digest your food. That's the good kind of E. coli. If you look, you'll notice there's a difference in its shape than compared to the E. coli at the top of the page. Okay, when we talk bacteria, there are three basic shapes. There's the rod-shaped called the bacilli, there's the round-shaped called cocci, and then there's the spiral-shaped. Okay, so if you look at the pictures, bacilli look like, I call them Mike and Ike's, the candy Mike and Ike's, that's what they look like. The cocci look like little balls that are connected together. So the cocci you can either find in a single strand like that, or you can find as a cluster. And then you have your spirals, which to me remind me of egg noodles, that shape. Okay, so just think some of these exist by themselves, some exist in clusters. It just depends on the bacteria. So a great thing to look at is how bacteria are alive. This is how they differ from viruses. Okay, your bacteria can reproduce on its own. Okay, it's going to make more of itself. And the bacteria need to eat where viruses do not. Viruses cannot reproduce without help of another cell. So if you're looking at the diagram of the bacteria, you will notice it has a cell wall. It has a capsule. Okay, it's got pili. The only organelles you see in the cytoplasm are ribosomes. Okay, that nucleoid where the DNA is kept is not membrane bound. Okay, so that's how you can identify it as a prokaryote versus a eukaryote. So when bacteria reproduce, they're going to grow in number, not size. Okay, bacteria reproduce by making copies of themselves by dividing in half. Now, when you're going through the vocabulary, there's a couple different terminology I gave you for when they reproduce. From binary fission, okay, to they just point blank split across. Okay, so they're making exact copies of themselves. Bacteria grow exponentially. That's why when you do a throat swab for strep throat, they're going to put it into a culture and send it off for a couple days. And they're going to be able to reproduce that bacteria, and then they can tell you what antibiotic it's resistant to. How do bacteria eat? Some of them make their own food. They're photosynthetic, just like the plants. Some are scavengers, which means they eat things around them. They help decompose dead things, help decompose leaves, things like that. Some are warriors, which are your pathogens. If it's a pathogen, they attack the other living things. Okay? So an example, bacteria on your face can attack the skin, causing an infection, which AKA is acne. Okay? The harmful kind of E. coli is a pathogen. But then you have the good kind of E. coli in the stomach lining that helps break down your food, so it's helpful. So what is a pathogen per se? It makes you sick. Why does this type of bacteria make you sick? Because they need to get the food from you. They need to survive and reproduce. How they make you sick is they produce toxins. And those toxins result in a fever, a headache, vomiting, diarrhea, destroy body tissue. Basically, you feel yucky all the way around. How are you getting these pathogens? It can be in contact with people who are sick, either direct contact or indirect contact. It can be in food, the water, other sources that are contaminated. That's why when you go to third world countries, you have to take water purification tablets because of the bacteria that lives in that water. Okay, most bacteria are not pathogens. Okay, some are either not affecting you at all or they're actually helpful. Some that are helpful are like the lactobacillus, which make cheese, yogurt, buttermilk. Okay, it helps produce vitamins in your intestines. You've got the leucinostock, which makes pickles and sauerkraut, so it sours things. And then you have the pediococcus, which makes pepperoni, salami, summer sausage. It helps to purify all of that. So here's just a closer look at some of the pictures of those bacteria and how they're helpful. We know common pathogens are pathogenic E. coli, which is found in your ground beef, contaminated fruits and vegetables. You will hear about this on the news as big recalls from companies because one factory had an E. coli outbreak, so they've got to get rid of everything from that specific factory. Same with salmonella. It's found in raw meats, poultry, eggs, sprouts, fruit and veggies. That's why they always recommend you cook your meat fully. Don't eat raw eggs, things like that. Listeria is a common pathogen found in deli foods, lunch meats, smoked fish, veggies. You hear about it a lot with pregnant women because they tell them not to eat deli lunch meat straight from the fridge. Put it in the microwave for 30 seconds because it'll kill the listeria on it. Okay, so if you're looking at the pictures of these are your known pathogens we just talked about. But if you notice, they're all different shapes. The salmonella is your bacilli, but it has those long flagellums. E. coli is your bacilli, but it's rigid looking on the outside. Then you have your staphylococcus, which is your cocci, and then you have the Campylobacter, which is spiral, hence that looks like egg noodles. Same thing as what we're doing to avoid pathogens. Wash your hands often so you don't transfer bacteria to your mouth or to food. Warm water with soap for 20 seconds. Rub between your fingernails and your nails and fingers and all that fun stuff. Get every nook and cranny. Cook food thoroughly to kill any pathogens that may be in your food. Store food properly. If it says refrigerate it, refrigerate it. That will help limit the pathogen growth. So to review quickly, bacteria are living organisms. Most are harmless. There are a few pathogens that will make you sick. And those that will make you sick, you can reduce the risk of getting by washing your hands and doing all the sanitary items that we are currently doing.